A sharp crack, a collective gasp. Chaos descends. The unthinkable has happened. The air is thick with panic and confusion as people scramble for safety. Former President Donald J. Trump, a man who defied expectations and dominated headlines for decades, is dead. Gunned down in a moment that will be replayed endlessly, slain by an assassin's bullet in a horrifying spectacle broadcast across the globe. The world watches in stunned silence as the news spreads like wildfire. The date is forever etched in American history, a day that will be remembered for generations to come. The details still emerging are sketchy, a rally turned tragic. Eyewitnesses recount the moments leading up to the chaos, a sea of red MAGA hats, the familiar booming voice, then pandemonium. The scene is surreal, almost like a nightmare. Security detail swarms, pushing through the panicked crowd, but it's too late. The damage is done. The assassin has vanished into the chaos. America's most polarizing president is gone. The nation reels. The impact of his death is felt far and wide. Shock gives way to disbelief. Faces are frozen in horror, unable to comprehend the reality of the situation. Then, an outpouring of grief, anger, and fear. How could this happen? In America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, to a man so protected, so larger than life? The questions are endless, the answers elusive. The questions hang heavy in the air, unanswered. Analysts and experts speculate, but the truth remains shrouded in mystery. One thing is certain, America will never be the same. The nation mourns, united in grief, as it grapples with this unprecedented event. The news spreads like wildfire, reaching every corner of the globe within minutes. Social media explodes, a torrent of grief, outrage, and accusations. Posts flood in, each more emotional than the last, as people try to make sense of the chaos. News channels scramble, their anchors struggling to maintain composure as they report the unthinkable. The stock market plunges, reflecting the uncertainty and fear gripping the nation. World leaders express condolences, even as they grapple with the implications of this unprecedented event. Conspiracy theories run rampant. Who was behind this? Was it a foreign adversary or a domestic threat? Was it a lone wolf attacker or a coordinated plot? The questions multiply, each more troubling than the last. Political opponents are blamed, fingers pointed with venomous certainty. The blame game begins, with each side accusing the other of complicity or negligence. The internet becomes a breeding ground for misinformation and hate, further dividing a nation already fractured along political lines. The digital battleground is fierce, with no sign of truce. The Secret Service faces intense scrutiny. Every protocol, every decision is questioned. How did the assassin breach security? The breach seems almost impossible, yet it happened. Were there warning signs that were ignored? Heads will roll, the public demands accountability. The investigation already underway is the most high-profile in American history. Every resource is being utilized to uncover the truth. The pressure to find answers, to provide a semblance of justice, is immense. The eyes of the world are watching. Meanwhile, in a heavily guarded room, Trump's family mourns. Their grief is palpable, their loss profound. Melania, Ivanka, Don Jr., Eric, their faces etched with grief, their world shattered. The family, once a symbol of power, now united in sorrow. The patriarch, the lightning rod, the center of their universe, is gone. His absence leaves a void that can never be filled. The weight of their loss, both personal and political, is immeasurable. The nation mourns with them, but the path ahead remains uncertain. For Trump's most ardent supporters, his death is more than a political assassination. It feels like the end of an era, a seismic shift in their world. It's a gut punch, a betrayal of epic proportions. The shockwaves of his death reverberate through communities, leaving many feeling lost and abandoned. They mourn the loss of their champion, the man who gave voice to their anger and anxieties. For them, Trump was more than a leader. He was a symbol of their fight against a system they believe is rigged against them. Rallies, once celebratory, transform into vigils, a sea of red hats now adorned with black ribbons. The atmosphere is heavy with sorrow and a sense of injustice. Tears flow freely, mixing with the anger and resentment that have become hallmarks of the movement. The grief is palpable, but so is the fury. Right-wing media outlets, once Trump's biggest cheerleaders, fan the flames of outrage. They amplify the voices of those who feel wronged, turning grief into a rallying cry. Talk radio crackles with accusations, conspiracy theories spun into narratives of martyrdom. Each broadcast adds fuel to the fire, deepening the sense of betrayal. The deep state, the liberal elite, the fake news media, all are blamed for Trump's demise. These narratives create a common enemy, uniting his supporters in their grief and anger. The rhetoric is incendiary, stoking the anger of a base that feels betrayed and adrift. The calls for action grow louder, more urgent. Calls for retribution echo across the internet and at rallies. Social media becomes a battleground with posts and comments reflecting the intense emotions of the moment. Some, fueled by grief and rage, advocate for violence, their words laced with threats against perceived enemies. The potential for real-world consequences looms large. Others, more restrained, demand investigations, accountability, and a reckoning for those they deem responsible. They seek justice through legal and political means. The potential for unrest, for the simmering anger to boil over into something uglier, is palpable. Authorities brace for the possibility of clashes and violence. The Republican Party, already grappling with internal divisions, is thrust into chaos. The loss of their figurehead leaves them scrambling for direction. Trump's death leaves a void, a power vacuum that ambitious politicians are eager to fill. The jockeying for position begins almost immediately. Will the party embrace his legacy, doubling down on the populism and nationalism that defined his presidency? Or will they seek a new path, one that distances them from the more controversial aspects of his tenure? Or will it attempt a course correction, seeking to distance itself from the more extreme elements of Trumpism? The choices made in the coming days will shape the party's future. The answer will have profound implications for the future of American politics. The nation watches, waiting to see how this chapter in history will unfold.